Narglis. Is Are you black or white in this game? Am I reviewing for black or reviewing for white? I don't know. Starting in 3-3. White. Okay. So first things first. Open corners first. Even if your opponent approaches, even if they attack, open corners first. Because it's okay to sacrifice 1 to get 2. And even here you can still live. So it's okay to be under pressure as long as you get 2 open corners. So open corners first. Okie dokie. Okay, block your base. Very, very good. Block, block. Okay. Avoid the first line for the first half of the game. Unless there's a specific reason you want to be on the first line. The first line is really slow. So unless there's a very good reason, don't... unless there's a very good reason, don't worry about the first line. In this case, you have a disconnection spot here, so you want to fix that. And this is the tiger's mouth. I don't know if you know that. And if they play inside, you can capture. So you want to fix the disconnection or the cut. Is the video lagging or the voice, or is it just the normal Twitch delay? Or what is it? Is the video bearable to watch? The video bearable to watch. Of your face. Video is lagging. It looks fine to me, but oh, I'm dropping frames. I'm dropping frames. Is it okay? Because if I start trying to fix it, I might make it worse. So is it okay, or do I need to actually take a minute to fix it? Nice beard. Thank you. I just haven't shaved. I just need to shave. If you guys tell me to fix it, I'll try to fix it. But if it's okay, just roll with it. Okay. All right. I'm just gonna roll with it. All right. So you did fix the cut. That's good. You don't need this exchange on top. Okay. So when they play these surrounding moves or the Hane. Yeah, when they play the surrounding move with the Hane or something. Cool. You want to ask if you can ignore and go for an open corner. The way you determine if you can or not is if you have space surrounded with the group. If you are already alive with space or a base, as you can call it a base or eye space or whatever, as long as you're alive and have plenty of space, surrounding is not Sente. That means you do not have to respond. As long as you're not going to get cut and you're alive and you're fine, you do not have to respond to some moves. So if you can Tanuki sooner or play elsewhere sooner, it will be very useful to you. Here is a good chance. So if you look at the Clossi approach on the website, you every turn you ask yourself 3 questions. Do I have any weaknesses or weak groups? In this case, you do not, because you have an eye, another eye, and space to make even more eyes, so your group's completely alive. If your group's completely alive, then it's not a weak group. If it can't be cut or pushed in any way that might kill it, or anything like that, then probably you're fine. Tanuki means to play away from the local situation. So I definitely would write that down and just remember that term. It's a very common Go term, and you want to make sure you remember that one. Tanuki means to play away from the local situation. Every single turn, you want to try to Tanuki. However, you need to fix weaknesses or attack weaknesses first, it is Tanuki. Every single turn you want to try to Tanuki and get to the next big move if you can, but weaknesses come first. So the first question you ask in the Clossi approach is, where am I weak? Or do I have any weaknesses that I need to deal with? In this case, you don't, because you have eyes, you have a base, and you're okay. Does your opponent have any weaknesses? Not really. The only possible weakness would be this stone, and the reason for this is, these aren't weak because they have space. If they have space or a base, it's not weak. This stone, though, is not connected, and it does not have space, so you could think it might be weak. But as soon as you take the base and he runs away, he connects in one move. So maybe you could attack it once, but otherwise, if you don't think it is, because it has support right there, then just go and play a big move. A big move is open corners, open sides, here and here, and then the largest area or framework. Largest framework. Let's say framework, because area can be confused with other things. So open corners, open sides, largest framework. If it's your framework, then you build it up. If it's your opponent's framework, then you reduce it or invade it. In this case, there's no weakness for either player, more or less, so you want to Tanuki and take a big move. A big move would be open corners, so you can play this corner or that corner. I would play this one just to stop black's combination, since you have just territory right here, and no influence. You want to stop black from having influence or a combination. You have no combination here, so you don't want black to get a combination, so I'd take this corner. But if you don't understand that, don't worry about it. Just open corners. So this one's a little bit slow. Again, a little bit slow. You don't need two eyes. This is unnecessary because you have space to make eyes or base. If you have a base, you don't need to make eyes. The only time that you need to make eyes directly like this is when you are surrounded and your eye space is small. If your eye space is very large, then most of the time you're okay and you can leave. You don't need to make the eyes directly because it's a little bit slow. Block, block, block. First line again. And here you want to notice that white has played all of the moves in this corner. So it's a little bit local. Yeah, it's a little bit of a buffer. I think it's my bad, but they said it was bearable. And just to proceed with the review, because I don't want to worry about it right now. Anyway, notice how all of white's moves are in one area. Yeah, you want to Tanuki sooner. This gets into reading, so here you want to surround while staying strong and connected. Perfect. This is not good. This is the first move I think that I'm going to call a really bad move. And there's a difference between moves that I think are not good, and so I can teach, and maybe you need to improve for your level. And then there's moves I'm going to say that, you should not be doing this at your level. You should know this. And this is going to be the first one. I think that think that maybe you got a little scared of something, or you did something that was a little bit below the level of the other moves. And that is, you are connecting something that is not an Atari. It cannot be cut, so you don't need to connect it until your opponent takes this liberty right here. Until your opponent takes this liberty and forces you to connect, you don't need to, because you're wasting a move. So in this case, you could disconnect your opponent, you could surround your opponent, or you could Tanuki. So don't connect if you're not an Atari. It just takes away a point. Alright, you surrounded. Very good. Good. Reduce. And perfect. Very, very good. Alright, this, don't worry about it. So actually this move, you can ignore because there's no way to make 2 eyes in this area. You have 4 eyes, right? So even if you lose 1 stone, you have 4 eyes. There's no way that black can make 2 eyes in this tiny little space. So if you ever see your opponent playing a move like this, oh, I have to sneeze, but I can't sneeze. It's really weird. If you ever see your opponent playing inside of your area like this, you need to think, can they make 2 eyes in this area if I do not respond? Because remember, always think Tanuki. Can my opponent make 2 eyes in here? Or do something to me, or kill me, or anything like that, right? Can they kill me? Can they make 2 eyes? Can they do something in this tiny little area? If not, then the stone is going to be dead as it stands, even if you ignore. So even if he takes, you can see that black has 0 eyes and can still be captured later. There's no way to make 2 eyes, so there's no reason to respond. So really watch out for these types of moves where your opponent are just playing inside without any future. Okay, surround. Good. Did your opponent just pass? What? Don't capture until the end of I don't know what rule set this is. Don't capture stones inside your own area because it's -1 point. They're considered dead as they stand because they will be captured eventually. So the rules will in the remove stone step or the remove stone phase before counting, the stones are removed because they're considered dead as they stand. He's playing Master Mantis, a bot. Okay. Chinese rules? Okay. Chinese rules, this does not lose you a point, but in most common rule sets that English speakers use, this would be -1 point. But even if it doesn't -1 point, it's not necessary. You can Tanuki. Remember, always think Tanuki. Alright, so you go here. That's good. Open corners. Here you when it's 1 stone versus 1 stone, you usually have 4 options: Nobi this way, Nobi that way, Hane this way, or Hane that way. Most of the time it's Hane, especially if they're on the inside or close to the edge. When I let me clarify. When I say inside, I mean close to the edge. Outside is towards the center. So even if on this side it might be different than this side, because I say inside is close to the edge and outside is to the center because it affects the rest of the board. So when they're on the inside like this, you usually want to Hane, and you want to push them towards the closest edge. So in this case, it's either this edge and this edge, so I would Hane here. Unless you have support or other stones, but I would Hane here. If you chose this Hane, it's also fine to get some points. This is not common, and the reason this one's not the best is because you're not taking any of black's liberties, and you're not surrounding black. Remember, liberties and cuts. That's the key in attack and defense. Okay, so black plays here. You can see black is surrounding points or a base, surrounding area, so black is making a base. White is not making a base. So white has a weak group, so you want to play on this. Second line is not good for a base. Here, there's no way to extend on the third line because bases are usually on the third line. There's no way to extend because there's a big wall right here. So in this case, run away from the thickness and run away towards the open area. Since you can't make a base, you want to run away. And here you can play a 1-point jump because it can't be cut. Run away as fast as you can without getting cut. That's a good defensive tactic. Second line is a little slow for defense. This does not make any eyes. Empty triangle is a bad shape in attack and defense most of the time because it does not make eyes and it's considered a little bit slow, and it also has very bad liberties compared to Nobis or other shapes. It has 1 less liberty. So empty triangles in attack and defense are usually not good. Here, yep, save the Atari. You can see black is taking white's eye shape, so white is actually in a lot of trouble. But there may be something you can do, possibly. It depends on black's reading. I'm looking at disconnecting black and trying to surround the corner. I don't think it'll work but maybe you can confuse your opponent. Yeah, so your goal right now is to defend your weak group. So you need to either make a base, and if you can't, then you need to run away towards the open area or towards support. This is fine because you're trying to get a forcing move in, but it doesn't really change your eye shape. First line again, Gote, and you're dead. So unfortunately, the group died. So there's no eyes, and there's no way to escape. And the last thing you check is there anything you can do to your opponent to kill something or to escape or to use weakness somehow to do one of the two, either escape or gain eyes. And there's no way to do that. So unfortunately, this group is dead. So, Tanuki. Alright, so here you want, this one is a little bit not good because when you're already surrounded, you need to check how many eyes you have. If you're surrounded and you can see that you cannot make 2 eyes, then you need to leave it, cut your losses, and leave it and go play a big move. Because adding 2 dead stones is just giving your opponent points. So you don't want to do that. Cut is a good idea, but it's too late because you only have 1 liberty, so there's nothing you can do anymore. You should have cut here when you had 3 liberties, so that way maybe you can come up with something. But when you're already in Atari, there's nothing you do on the outside is going to change the result. So it's just better to Tanuki. Here, you're actually getting another weak group by trying too hard to kill something. So, for example, you're trying to cut something that has 2 liberties and 4 liberties, and he has 1 liberty. So he can easily connect, so there's no weaknesses for black. But you're playing stones that are touching strength, and you only have 2 liberties, no base, and no escape paths. So because of that, you're actually giving yourself another weak group. Here, you can see these 3 stones are getting surrounded. So you want to make a base or escape. In this case, there's no escape, so you really need to expand that eye space. Cut is an attacking move. Attacking is not good when you're defending because you can't attack with weakness. You'll die first, most of the time. Not all the time, but you want to defend before you attack. So the cut is an attacking idea, not a defensive idea. So it's the wrong goal or the wrong mindset. Here, we just get into a bunch of forcing moves, but I don't think the situation's going to change. I think after your group died, you started playing whatever you could to try and kill something back because you felt like maybe because the group died, you felt like you were going to lose if you didn't kill something in exchange for that. That is not a good plan because trying to kill stuff usually never works out. Rather, just cut your losses and go play a big move. That's the best way you can do it. Once you die, cut your losses and go play a big move. Or go do the questions again. Where am I weak? Where's my opponent weak? Where's the big move? Here, you can see that you're not really playing any big moves. All you're doing is trying to kill something since he killed something, but you're just gaining more and more weak groups, and the situation's not changing. So I'd say all of these moves are kind of like desperation moves after your group died. So it's no longer basic mistakes. It's, I think, a mindset mistake. So the mindset here is you kind of panicked and maybe kind of freaked out a little bit after your opponent killed your group, and then you started making more and more weak groups, and it just kind of went downhill from there. Just learn to cut your losses, and I think it'll be easier. Yeah. But yeah. It's not just big moves. It's more the mindset of I need to think Tanuki, Tanuki, Tanuki. Am I weak? If yes, respond. If no, is my opponent weak? If yes, respond. If no, Tanuki. But always think Tanuki and check your weaknesses. And then when your groups die, just cut your losses. All right. Hopefully you found that helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. Got a comment right here.